I found out I had a psycho twin sister when she tracked me down and showed up at my job interview. She had already been stalking my family for years, and now that she made contact with me, she was just getting started. I met my twin during a job interview, but it took 3 weeks, a fall, and a dead stare in the middle of the night for me to realize she'd been stalking my family for years. We both reached for the same door handle at the exact same time. I remember the awkward bump, and then the way we both turned our heads and just froze. Same face, same eyes. We looked exactly alike. Whoa, she laughed first. That's wild. We were both applying for the same position at this little design firm downtown. At first, we joked that the hiring manager would think they were seeing double, but something about her felt off. It wasn't just how she looked, it was how she moved. We sat together while waiting. I asked her where she was from. She said she bounced around a lot, foster care mostly, adopted at one point, said her mom gave her up as a baby. She insisted we get lunch after the interview, and we talked for hours. Her name was Riley. She told me about her childhood like it was a horror movie she'd seen too many times. I told her about my upbringing and close-knit family. She asked me about family birthdays, favorite foods, allergies, pets. She seemed so eager to know about me, but instead of being happy, I felt a bit uncomfortable. When I got home, something didn't sit right with me, so I went up to the attic to find some old photos of when I was a baby. I dug through old boxes. I found a card from my birth announcement, but 2 hospital bracelets. Then I found the ultrasound photos. That's when I saw it, my ultrasound image, labeled Twin A and B. I headed downstairs to ask my mom directly. She broke down within 5 minutes, said she was 18, alone, scared. My dad had walked out and she didn't think she could handle twins, so when Riley was born, she gave her up. When my dad came back, she never told him. I told her I met Riley and convinced her to tell my dad. After their first argument in years, we invited Riley to dinner. My dad was overwhelmed, kept saying, I missed so much, and insisted she move in with us immediately. At first it was sweet, then it got strange. Riley started styling her hair like mine, copying outfits, then showing up to family dinners in my clothes. She swore it was because she spilled something on hers. She never gave them back. Then she started texting my friends, following my coworkers, liking posts from years ago. She created a fake Instagram and started messaging my boyfriend pretending to be me. And then, I found my cat locked in the dryer, alive, but terrified. Only Riley had been home. She laughed. Maybe it crawled in. Cats are weird. That's when I started locking my door. I remember she showed up to my job, just to grab lunch. She didn't have a car. I still don't know how she got there. Then came the fall. It was time for our fishing trip. Riley invited herself. We were hiking to the campsite, steep, dangerous terrain. My dad helped her across first. Then she offered me her hand. Next thing I know, I'm falling. I woke up with blood in my mouth and a broken wrist. She said I tripped. Everyone else believed her. I didn't. To this day, I swear I saw her smile as her grip loosened. That night, my mom came into my room while I was icing my wrist. I never told anyone this, she whispered. But when you two were born, Riley didn't cry, just stared, wouldn't blink. Her tests were normal, but she scared me. I asked, so you gave her up? She nodded. I thought I was protecting you. That was the first time I didn't feel angry at my mom. Riley started sleeping in my bed when I wasn't home, calling my parents mom and dad. She told my mom, I want to be the daughter that stayed. Then came the slip up. She mentioned a stuffed rabbit I lost at 5. I always wondered where you hid it, she said. I'd never told her about it. Later, I found a box under her bed. Photos of our house, from years ago. Notes, names, schedules, before we ever met. She had been watching us. I showed my parents. My mom lost it. My dad still refused to believe it, until Riley snapped. I woke to screaming one night. Riley had my mom pinned against the wall with a kitchen knife. Why didn't you choose me? She screamed while sobbing. My dad dragged her off. Afterward, he stared at my mom. You should have told me, he said. You never deserved to be a mother. They fought for hours, screaming, blaming. I'd never seen them like that before. The next morning, Riley sat at the table like nothing happened. Calm, cheerful. Coffee? She asked. That was the moment they agreed she needed help. They offered to pay for a psychiatric facility, a safe one, with people who could help. She smiled. I get it, she said. I just wanted to taste the life that was supposed to be mine. She hugged me. You'll always be the lucky one, she whispered. She's gone now, but not far. Last night I found a Polaroid on my pillow. It was me sleeping. On the back it said, thanks for keeping my bed warm. I sat in the police station, a scratchy blanket around my shoulders, giving my statement for what felt like the 100th time. The fluorescent lights made my headache worse. My mom sat next to me, her face pale and drawn, a bandage on her forehead where Riley had hit her. We were both alive. That was something. And you're sure she never mentioned this cabin before? Detective Martinez asked again. I shook my head. Never. I don't know how she found it or who it belongs to. The detective, a woman with tired eyes and a kind smile, nodded and made another note. The cabin owner, Mr. Collins, says he only uses it for hunting season. It was empty for months. She must have been planning this for a while. That thought made me shiver. While Riley was in the psychiatric facility, supposedly getting better, she was actually planning to kidnap us, to cull us. My dad burst through the door then, his face a mess of emotions. Relief, fear, guilt. He rushed to my mom first, reaching for her hands. Don't, she said quietly. Just don't. He looked crushed but nodded and turned to me instead. Are you okay? Did she hurt you? I couldn't even look at him. You visited her at the facility. You knew she was receiving treatment and you didn't tell us. I thought she was better, he said, his voice breaking. The doctor said she was responding to treatment. I wanted to give her a chance. A chance to what? My mom snapped. Finish what she started? Call me? Call your daughter? Detective Martinez cleared her throat. Mr. Parker, we'll need your statement as well. While my dad spoke with the detective, Tyler arrived. He'd been frantic when he woke up and found me gone. The police had contacted him after they found us. He wrapped me in a hug so tight I could barely breathe, but I didn't mind. It felt safe. I thought I'd lost you, he whispered against my hair. I clung to him, trying not to cry. She was in our apartment, Tyler, while you were sleeping. He pulled back, his face pale. What? How? I shook my head. I don't know, but we can't go back there. We stayed at a hotel that night, my mom in one room, Tyler and me in another. My dad went home alone. None of us wanted to be with him right now. The betrayal was too fresh. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Riley's face, heard her voice. You didn't deserve the life you got. Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't deserve it. But that didn't give her the right to try to take it from me. The next morning, we met with the prosecutor. Riley was being charged with kidnapping, assault, breaking and entering, and attempted murder. They wanted us to testify. Of course we'll testify, my mom said immediately. I nodded, but my stomach churned at the thought of facing Riley in court, of having to relive everything she'd done. My dad was quiet during the meeting. Afterward, he asked if he could talk to me alone. My mom looked like she wanted to object, but she just walked away, her shoulders stiff. I'm sorry, he said once we were alone. I should have told you she was receiving psychiatric treatment. I should have listened when you said something was wrong. I stared at him. She tried to call Mom. She was going to call me too. And you still don't get it, do you? She manipulated you. She's been manipulating all of us from the beginning. He ran a hand through his hair. I know that now. She's still my daughter. I missed her whole life. I wanted to make it up to her. And what about me? I asked, my voice breaking. I'm your daughter too. I was here the whole time. But the minute Riley showed up, it was like I didn't matter anymore. He looked shocked. That's not true. I love you. I've always loved you. Then act like it, I said, and walked away. The next few weeks were a blur of police interviews, meetings with the prosecutor, and trying to put our lives back together. My mom filed for divorce. My dad moved out. I stayed with Tyler, too afraid to go back to my parents' house. Riley was denied bail. She was considered a flight risk and a danger to others. The prosecutor told us she'd likely be sent to a maximum security psychiatric facility after trial. The thought gave me little comfort. What was stopping her from manipulating someone else? I went back to work, trying to establish some kind of normalcy. My coworkers knew something had happened. It had been in the local paper, but I didn't share details, just said I had a family emergency. They were understanding, gave me space. One day, about a month after the kidnapping, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello? I answered cautiously. Hello, Jessica. It was Riley's voice. My blood ran cold. How are you calling me? You're in the detention center. She laughed. Phone privileges. Good behavior. They're so easy to fool here. Just like Dad was. I should have hung up. Should have called the police. But I couldn't move. What do you want? I asked. Just checking in on my favorite sister, she said, her voice sickly sweet. How's Mom? Still playing the victim? Don't call me again, I said, finding my voice. And stay away from my family. Your family? She laughed. They're my family too. Or did you forget that part? We share the same blood, Jessica. We're the same. We are nothing alike, I said firmly. No, we look the same. Sound the same. I bet if I tried hard enough, I could become you. Take over your life. No one would know the difference. I hung up then, my hands shaking so badly I dropped the phone. I called the prosecutor immediately, told her about the call. She promised to have Riley's phone privileges revoked. That night, I had a nightmare. Riley and I were standing face to face like looking in a mirror. Then she reached out and pushed me, and I fell backwards into darkness. I woke up gasping, covered in sweat. Tyler stirred beside me. You okay? I nodded, not trusting my voice. I got up and went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. For a split second, I thought I saw Riley's face instead of mine. I blinked, and it was gone. The next day, I went to see my mom. She was staying with her sister, my Aunt Autumn, in a small apartment across town. She looked better than she had at the police station, but still tired, haunted. Riley called me yesterday, I told her as we sat at the kitchen table. Her face went pale. What? How? I explained about the phone privileges. She said some weird stuff, about how we're the same, how she could become me if she wanted to. My mom reached across the table and took my hand. You are nothing like her. Nothing. But we're twins, I said quietly. We share the same DNA. DNA isn't destiny, she said firmly. You are kind and good and normal. Riley, there was always something wrong with her, even as a baby. I squeezed her hand. I don't blame you anymore for giving her up. I think you might have been right to be scared of her. Tears filled her eyes. I've spent 25 years wondering if I made the right choice, feeling guilty. But after everything that's happened, I think I did what I had to do. We sat in silence for a while, just holding hands. Then she spoke again. Your father wants to testify on Riley's behalf. Says she needs help, not prison. I stared at her in disbelief. After everything she did? After she tried to kill you? She nodded, looking exhausted. He still doesn't see her clearly. Or maybe he does and just doesn't care. Either way, I can't be with someone who would choose her over us. The preliminary hearing was set for the following week. I dreaded seeing Riley again, but knew I had to be there, had to face her. The night before the hearing, someone broke into Tyler's apartment while we were out having dinner. Nothing was taken, but all the photos of me had been removed from their frames. In their place were photos of Riley, wearing my clothes, mimicking my poses. The police came, took fingerprints, but found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no evidence of how the intruder got in. They increased patrols in our area, but it didn't make me feel any safer. Riley was still in the detention center. She couldn't have done this herself, which meant she had help. We need to move, Tyler said that night as we lay in bed, both too wired to sleep. Somewhere she can't find us. I nodded against his chest. But what about my mom? I can't leave her. She can come too, he said simply. We'll figure it out. The next morning, we went to the courthouse. I felt sick with nerves. My mom looked equally tense. My dad was already there, sitting on the other side of the courtroom. He tried to catch my eye, but I looked away. And then they brought Riley in. She was wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hands cuffed in front of her. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup on her face. She looked smaller somehow, less threatening, until she saw me and smiled. That same cold smile I'd seen right before she let me fall. The hearing was brief. The judge ruled there was enough evidence to proceed to trial. Riley was remanded back into custody. As they let her out, she turned and looked directly at me. See you soon, sis. she mouthed. I shuddered. My mom put her arm around me, led me out of the courtroom. My dad tried to approach us, but my mom put up a hand to stop him. Not now, Tom, she said firmly. He looked hurt, but backed off. I saw him glance toward the door Riley had been taken through, indecision on his face. Even now, he was torn between us. That night, I got another call from an unknown number. Did you like my redecorating? Riley's voice asked as soon as I answered. How are you calling me? I demanded. They took away your phone privileges. She laughed. I have friends, Jessica. People who understand me. People who want to help me. Stay away from me, I said. Stay away from my mom. Stay away from Tyler. Or what? She taunted. You'll call the police? Tell them the big bad twin is after you? They already think you're paranoid. Dad's been telling everyone how unstable you've been since you found out about me. I felt cold all over. What are you talking about? Oh, he didn't tell you? He's building my defense case, saying mom poisoned you against me, that I'm the victim here. I hung up, my mind racing. I called my mom immediately, told her what Riley said. She wasn't surprised. Your father came by earlier, she said, tried to convince me to drop the charges, said Riley needs psychiatric help, not prison. When I refused, he got angry, said I was ruining Riley's life all over again. I couldn't believe it. After everything Riley had done, my dad was still defending her, still choosing her. The next day, I went to see him. He was staying at a motel, living out of a suitcase. He looked terrible, unshaven and tired, but I didn't feel sorry for him. Are you really going to testify for Riley? I asked without preamble. He sighed. It's complicated, Jessica. No, it's not, I said. She tried to call mom. She was going to call me too. There's nothing complicated about that. He sat down heavily on the bed. She's sick. She needs help, not prison. She had help, I reminded him. You visited her at the facility, and look what happened. He flinched. I know I made a mistake, but she's still my daughter. So am I shouted, losing my temper. But you don't seem to care about that. You don't care that she terrorized me, that she broke into my apartment, that she's still threatening me from the detention center. He looked up sharply. What do you mean, still threatening you? I told him about the phone calls, about the photos in our apartment. His face grew more troubled with each word. That's not possible, he said when I finished. She's in custody. She can't make calls without supervision. Can't leave. Well, she is, I said flatly. And she says she has friends helping her. Friends who understand her. He shook his head. No, she doesn't have friends. She told me she's always been alone. That's why she wanted to find us so badly. A chill ran down my spine. Then who's helping her? The question hung in the air between us. My dad looked as disturbed as I felt. I'll talk to her, he said finally. Find out what's going on. I laughed bitterly. Because she's been so honest with you so far? He flinched again but didn't argue. What do you want me to do, Jessica? Stop defending her, I said. Stop making excuses for her. See her for what she really is. He was quiet for a long moment. I'll try, he said finally. That's all I can promise. It wasn't enough, but it was something. I left, feeling no better than when I'd arrived. That night, Tyler and I stayed at a different hotel. We didn't tell anyone where we were going, not even my mom, just in case Riley really did have someone helping her, someone close to us. I couldn't sleep, kept thinking about what my dad had said, that Riley claimed she didn't have friends, but someone had broken into our apartment. Someone was helping her make calls from the detention center. Unless she was lying about being in custody at all. The thought hit me like a truck. I sat up in bed, heart racing. What if she'd escaped again? What if she was out there right now, watching us? I grabbed my phone, called the detention center, asked to confirm that Riley Parker was still in custody. The officer who answered sounded annoyed but confirmed that yes, she was there, had been there all night. I relaxed slightly, but something still felt off. I decided to call the prosecutor in the morning, ask her to check on Riley's movements, her communications, but I never got the chance. Because when I woke up the next morning, Tyler was gone. A note on his pillow read, "Gone for coffee, back soon," except he didn't come back. An hour passed, then 2. I called his phone. No answer. I started to panic. I called the police, reported him missing. They said he hadn't been gone long enough to be considered missing, but given our situation, they'd look into it. I called my mom, told her what was happening. She came to the hotel immediately. We sat together, waiting for news, for Tyler to walk through the door with a perfectly reasonable explanation for where he'd been. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered with shaking hands. Hello, Jessica. Riley's voice calm and collected. Missing something? My heart stopped. Where is he? What did you do? I didn't do anything, she said innocently. But my friend might have. The one who's been helping me. The one who believes me when I tell him how you and mom have been lying about me. Dad, I whispered. It had to be. Who else would believe her? She laughed. Guess again, sis. Where is Tyler? I demanded. Safe. For now. But if you want him to stay that way, you'll do exactly what I say. My mom was watching me, her face pale with fear. I put the phone on speaker so she could hear. What do you want? I asked. Come to the old factory on Maple Street. Alone. No police. If I see anyone else, Tyler dies. She hung up. My mom immediately shook her head. It's a trap, she said. You can't go. I have to, I said, already grabbing my jacket. She has Tyler. Then we called the police. She insisted. Let them handle it. And if she kills him while we're waiting? I asked. I can't take that chance. We argued back and forth, but in the end, I won. I would go, but my mom would call the police if I didn't check in every 30 minutes. It wasn't a great plan, but it was the best we could come up with. I drove to the old factory, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. The building was abandoned, windows broken, graffiti covering the walls. I parked and got out, looking around nervously. Riley? I called out. I'm here. No answer. I walked toward the building, every instinct screaming at me to run the other way, but I couldn't. Not with Tyler's life at stake. I entered through a broken door, the interior dark and musty. Water dripped somewhere in the distance. Trash and debris littered the floor. Riley? I called again. In here. A voice echoed from deeper inside the building. I followed the sound, moving carefully through the darkness. I reached a large open area, what must have been the main factory floor, and there, in the center, tied to a chair, was Tyler. Tyler! I rushed toward him. He looked up, his face bruised, eyes wide with fear. Jessica, no, it's a trap. Too late. I heard footsteps behind me. Something hard hit the back of my head, and everything went black. When I woke up, I was tied to a chair next to Tyler. My head throbbed where I'd been hit. I blinked, trying to clear my vision. A woman stood in front of us, smiling, but it wasn't Riley. This woman had similar features, but she wasn't identical to me. Her hair was styled like mine. She wore clothes like mine, but up close the differences were clear. It took me a moment to recognize her through my blurred vision. Maddie? I gasped. Maddie Suzuki, my co-worker from the design firm, the one who'd been so understanding when I came back to work after the kidnapping, the one who'd given me space. Surprise, she said, grinning. Did you really think Riley was doing all this from the detention center? But how? I couldn't process what I was seeing. Riley and I met at the psychiatric facility, she explained. I was visiting my brother. We got to talking. Found out we had a lot in common. She smiled fondly. Riley told me everything. How you and your mom tried to keep her away from her real family. How you lied about her to get her locked up. I stared at her in disbelief. She tried to call my mother. She was going to call me too. She shrugged. That's not how she tells it. Of course not, I said bitterly. She's a liar. She's manipulating you, just like she manipulated my dad. Maddie's smile faltered slightly. Speaking of your dad, he should be here soon. I called him, told him I had a surprise for him. My blood ran cold. What are you going to do? She walked over to me, leaned down so our faces were inches apart. I'm going to give him a choice, you or Riley, and this time, he's going to choose right. I struggled against my restraints. He won't choose either of us if you do this. He'll see you for what you really are. She slapped me hard across the face. Shut up. You don't know anything about her. Tyler jerked in his chair. Leave her alone. Maddie walked over and punched him in the stomach. Tyler doubled over as much as his restraints would allow, gasping for breath. Stop it, I shouted. Please, just stop. Maddie straightened up, composing herself. You're right. We should save the fun for when your dad gets here. She checked her watch. He should be here any minute. Go watch for him. She left the room briefly, nervous energy radiating from her. Why is she doing this? Tyler whispered when she was gone. Riley's manipulating her, I said quietly, making her think she's helping a friend. We heard footsteps approaching. Maddie's face lit up. He's here. But it wasn't my dad who walked through the door. It was my mom. And behind her, 2 police officers with GNs drawn. Police! Freeze! One of them shouted. Maddie's face contorted with rage. She pulled a knife from her pocket, the same kitchen knife Riley had held to my mom's throat, and lunged at me. Everything happened so fast after that. The officers shouting, my mom screaming, a gunshot, Maddie falling to the ground, the knife clattering away from her outstretched hand, and then my mom was untying me, her hands shaking so badly she could barely manage the knots. One of the officers helped Tyler while the other checked on Maddie. She's alive, he reported. Gunshot wound to the shoulder. I felt numb, couldn't process what had just happened. My mom helped me to my feet, held me close. How did you find us? I asked. Your phone, she said. I put a tracking app on it after the kidnapping. When you didn't check in, I called the police. I looked over at Maddie. She was conscious, glaring at us as the officer handcuffed her good arm to a pipe while waiting for the ambulance. Riley will find someone else. She spat at me. She always has a backup plan. I turned away from her, into my mom's embrace. I didn't feel lucky. I felt broken and exhausted and scared. The paramedics arrived, treated Tyler's injuries, which thankfully weren't serious. They took Maddie away on a stretcher, a police officer accompanying her. We gave our statements to the police. My mom never left my side. Tyler held my hand the whole time. I felt anchored by their presence, by their love. My dad arrived as we were finishing up. He looked shell-shocked when the police told him what had happened. He tried to approach me, but I backed away. Did you know? I asked him. Did you know what she was planning? He shook his head, tears in his eyes. No, I swear. She called and said she had news about the case. That's all. I didn't know whether to believe him or not. Didn't know if I could ever trust him again. I need time, I said. I can't do this right now. He nodded, understanding in his eyes. I'll be here when you're ready. We left the factory as the coroner arrived. I couldn't bring myself to look. Couldn't bear to see another life destroyed by Riley's madness. At the hospital, they told us Maddie would survive her injury. She was under guard, would be transferred to custody as soon as she was stable. This time, there would be no phone privileges, no visitors except her lawyer. The prosecutor came to see us the next day, said with the new charges, Riley was looking at life in a maximum security psychiatric facility. No chance of parole. The psychiatric evaluation had found her competent to stand trial. She knew exactly what she was doing. It's over, the prosecutor assured us. She can't hurt you anymore. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe we could finally move on with our lives. But as we left the hospital, I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't really over. That somehow, someday, Riley would find a way to come back into our lives. We couldn't stay in our town. We needed a fresh start somewhere Riley couldn't find us. My mom, Tyler, and I made plans to move to a small town hours away. Tyler could work remotely, my mom found a teaching position, and I applied for design jobs in the area. We were packing up the last of our things from my mom's house when my dad showed up. He stood awkwardly in the doorway, watching us fill boxes. You're really leaving, he said. It wasn't a question. My mom nodded stiffly. We can't stay here, not with the trial coming up, not with everything. He looked around at the half-empty house, at the life he'd once been part of, now being packed away. Can I help? He asked quietly. My mom and I exchanged glances. Then she nodded. You can take those boxes to the car. He worked silently alongside us for the rest of the day. When we were finished, he stood in the empty living room, hands in his pockets. I'm selling the house, my mom told him. Too many memories. He nodded. I understand. As we were leaving, he pulled me aside. Can I call you? Just to check in? in? I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, you can call. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. We moved the next day. The new place was small but cozy, a fresh start. We changed our phone numbers, our email addresses. I deleted all my social media accounts and created new ones under a different name. We told only a handful of trusted friends where we were going. For a while, it worked. Life settled into a new normal. I found a job at a local marketing firm. Tyler and I rented a small house with a yard. My mom bought a condo nearby. We had dinner together every Sunday. My dad called once a week, and slowly, we started rebuilding our relationship. The trial date approached. The prosecutor wanted all of us to testify. I dreaded seeing Riley again, but knew it was necessary to put her away for good. The night before we were due to drive back for the trial, someone broke into our house. Tyler and I were at my mom's, finalizing our travel plans. We came home to find the place ransacked. Drawers emptied, furniture overturned, but nothing was taken. Instead, something was left behind, a Polaroid on our bed. Me and Tyler, sleeping, taken the night before. The police came, took the photo, searched the house, found nothing. No fingerprints, no evidence of how the intruder got in. They promised to increase patrols in our neighborhood, but it did little to ease my fear. She can't be in two places at once, Tyler kept saying. She's in custody. They confirmed it. But if it wasn't Riley, who was it? Who else would do this? We didn't sleep that night, sat up with all the lights on, jumping at every sound. In the morning, we packed our bags and headed back to our hometown for the trial. The courthouse was crowded, journalists, curious onlookers. Our case had attracted some local attention. My mom, Tyler, and I sat together in the front row. My dad sat a few rows back, giving us space. And then they brought Riley in. She looked different, thinner, paler, her hair cut short, but her eyes were the same, cold, calculating. She smiled when she saw me, a small, secret smile that made my skin crawl. The trial lasted 3 days. I testified on the second day, recounting everything Riley had done. The stalking, the threats, the kidnapping. She watched me the whole time, that same small smile on her face. When it was her turn to testify, she painted herself as the victim, said she just wanted to be part of her birth family, that I was jealous, threatened by her presence, that I'd made up the stalking, the threats, to get rid of her. Her lawyer tried to paint her as mentally ill, not responsible for her actions, asked for leniency, for treatment instead of prison. But the evidence was overwhelming. The photos from Maddie's apartment, the journals detailing her plans, the testimonies from me, my mom, Tyler, and the cabin owner who'd saved us. On the third day, the jury returned with a verdict, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to life in a maximum security psychiatric facility with the possibility of parole after 25 years. As they led her away, she looked back at me. "This isn't over," she mouthed. I tried to tell myself it was just a final attempt to scare me, that she couldn't hurt us anymore, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she meant it. We stayed in town one more night before heading back home. My dad invited us to dinner, a small celebration of the verdict. It was awkward at first, but as the evening progressed, some of the tension eased. We weren't back to normal, might never be, but we were talking. It was something. When we got back to our hotel room, there was a message waiting for me at the front desk, a note, hand-delivered earlier that day. "Congratulations on the verdict, but don't get too comfortable. I always have a backup plan. See you soon, sis." I showed it to Tyler, who immediately called the police. They came, took the note, promised to investigate, said they'd check the security cameras, see who delivered it. We drove home the next day, constantly checking the rearview mirror, paranoid about being followed. When we arrived, everything seemed normal. No break-ins, no disturbing photos. Maybe it was over. Maybe the note was just a final act of defiance from Riley, knowing she'd lost. Life slowly returned to something resembling normal. I went back to work. Tyler and I talked about getting married, starting a family. My mom started dating again. My dad visited once a month. 6 months passed without incident. No strange calls, no break-ins, no threatening notes. I started to relax, to believe that maybe, just maybe, we were safe. Then one night, I woke up to find someone standing over our bed. I opened my mouth to scream, but a hand clamped over it. "Shh," a familiar voice whispered. "Don't wake Tyler." I struggled, tried to reach for the lamp, but she was stronger than she looked. A woman with features similar to mine, but not identical. She had styled her hair like mine, wore clothes like mine, but the resemblance was only superficial. She dragged me out of bed, her hand still over my mouth. Tyler stirred but didn't wake up. "We're going for a drive," she whispered, just like old times. She had a knife pressed against my side as she forced me out of the house and into a waiting car. She tied my hands with zip ties, pushed me into the trunk, and slammed it shut. I lay in the darkness trying not to panic. How had she found us? Questions raced through my mind as the car started moving. We drove for what felt like hours. When the car finally stopped, she opened the trunk. We were in the middle of nowhere, just trees and darkness. "Get out," she ordered, grabbing my arm and pulling me from the trunk. "Who are you?" I asked as she marched me through the trees. She laughed. "I'm Ren, Riley's friend. We met at the psychiatric facility where she was sent after the knife incident. I tried to process this new information, but you look similar to her." To me, she smiled, a cold smile reminiscent of Riley's. Amazing what makeup and the right wig can do. Riley taught me everything. How to move like her, talk like her, like you. We reached a small cabin, similar to the one where Riley had taken me and my mom before. She pushed me inside. It was empty, just a table and 2 chairs. "Sit," she ordered, pushing me into one of the chairs. "Why are you doing this?" I asked as she tied my legs to the chair. "Because Riley asked me to," she said simply. "She said if anything happened to her, I should finish what she started." "And what's that?" She smiled again. "Making you pay for taking her life." "I didn't take anything from her," I protested. "She was adopted. She had parents who loved her. Until they died, Ren said. And then she had nothing, while you had everything. A mother, a father, a boyfriend, a future. It should have been hers too. So what now? I asked, trying to keep her talking while I worked on loosening the zip ties around my wrists. You call me? She shook her head. Number Riley doesn't want you dead. She wants you to suffer, like she's suffering in that facility. She pulled out her phone, dialed a number, put it on speaker. I got her, she said when someone answered. Good. Riley's voice came through the speaker. Put her on. Ren held the phone up to my face. Hello, Jessica, Riley said. Surprised? How are you calling? I asked. You're in a maximum security facility. She laughed. Contraband phone. Got caught with one before, but I have my ways. Amazing what you can get if you know the right people. What do you want, Riley? I want you to know what it feels like to lose everything, she said. Your freedom, your family, your future, just like I did. You did this to yourself, I said. You chose to stalk us, to threaten us, to kidnap us. No, she hissed. You did this. You and your mother. If she hadn't given me away, if you hadn't taken my place, none of this would have happened. I heard someone shouting in the background on her end. Gotta go, she said quickly. Guards doing rounds. Ren knows what to do. See you soon, sis. The call ended. Ren put the phone away and pulled out a knife. Riley said to make it hurt, she said, advancing toward me. I had managed to loosen the zip ties enough to slip one hand free. As she leaned in with the knife, I punched her as hard as I could in the face. She stumbled back, surprised. I freed my other hand, started working on the ties around my ankles. Ren recovered quickly, lunged at me with the knife. I tipped the chair sideways, falling to the floor but avoiding the blade. The chair broke on impact, freeing my legs. I scrambled to my feet, grabbed a piece of the broken chair as a weapon. We circled each other, Ren with her knife, me with my makeshift club. She lunged again. I dodged, swung the chair leg, connected with her arm. The knife clattered to the floor. We both dove for it. I got there first, grabbed it, and backed away. Now I had the knife, and she was unarmed. It's over, Ren, I said. Give up. She laughed, a laugh eerily similar to Riley's. It's never over. Riley will find someone else. There will always be someone else. She charged at me. I didn't want to use the knife, didn't want to hurt her, but I had no choice. I sidestepped at the last second, stuck out my foot. She tripped, fell hard, hit her head on the table. She didn't get up. I checked her pulse. Still alive, just unconscious. I found her phone, called 911, gave them our location as best I could describe it. While I waited for help to arrive, I searched the cabin, found a box under the bed, just like the one in Riley's room. More photos of me, of my family, notes in Riley's handwriting, instructions for Ren, plans for what to do if Riley was caught. The police arrived an hour later, along with an ambulance. They arrested Ren, who was just regaining consciousness, took my statement, collected the evidence from the cabin. One of the officers drove me home. Tyler was frantic, had called the police when he woke up and found me gone. My mom was there too, along with my dad. They all hugged me when I walked in, relief evident on their faces. I told them everything. About Ren, about Riley's phone call from the facility. The police promised to investigate, to make sure Riley couldn't contact anyone else. In the days that followed, we learned more about Ren. She had been Riley's roommate at the psychiatric facility, had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, was highly susceptible to manipulation. Riley had groomed her for years, molded her into a willing accomplice. The police found more evidence at Ren's apartment. More photos, more plans, names and addresses of other people Riley had manipulated, people who might be willing to continue her work. The facility did a sweep of Riley's cell, found the contraband phone, put her in solitary confinement, revoked all privileges, charged her with additional crimes for orchestrating the kidnapping from the facility. Ren was charged with kidnapping, assault, breaking, and entering. She agreed to testify against Riley in exchange for a reduced sentence, revealed the full extent of Riley's network, her plans, her backup plans. With this new evidence, Riley's sentence was extended. No possibility of parole. She would spend the rest of her life in the facility, under constant surveillance, with no contact with the outside world. It was finally over. Really over. We moved again, to a different state this time. Changed our names, our appearances, started completely fresh. My dad came with us this time, unwilling to be separated from us again. It's been 2 years now. No sign of Riley, no strange calls, no break-ins. We're safe. We're healing. We're a family again. Different but stronger for what we've been through. I still look over my shoulder sometimes. Still check the locks twice before bed. Still wake up in the night, thinking I see someone standing over me. But those moments are getting rarer. Riley was wrong about one thing. I'm not the lucky one. Luck had nothing to do with it. We survived because we fought back, because we refused to let her win, because we chose to move forward rather than let fear control us. She wanted to take my place, to have my life. But in the end, she forced me to create a new one that's mine alone, that she can never touch.